Imagine your immune system as a fire department. Most of the time, it saves your life, but sometimes it doesn't know when to stop. The fire is out, yet the hoses are still spraying. The walls are buckling. The furniture is ruined. Not because of the fire, but because the response lasted too long. That second kind of damage has a name: chronic inflammation. And scientists have found a tiny molecule that may carry a very simple message: the emergency is over. Its name is KPV. KPV is just 3 amino acids long, one of the smallest peptides we've ever talked about. Yet it may have one of the biggest jobs. So, what exactly is KPV? And why are researchers studying it for diseases driven by inflammation? The story begins with a much larger hormone, alpha, MSH, alpha melanocyte stimulating hormone. Despite the intimidating name, it started out famous for something simple: skin pigment. But in the 1980s, 2 researchers noticed it was doing something stranger. Anna Catania and James Lipton showed that alpha MSH could bring down fever, calm inflammation, quiet an overactive immune response. Effects that had nothing to do with skin color at all. So they asked an obvious question: which part of the molecule was doing the calming? They started cutting it down, testing smaller and smaller fragments, and they found something remarkable. Almost all of the anti-inflammatory power lived in the last 3 amino acids. Those 3 amino acids became known as KPV. Think of alpha MSH as a long sentence. KPV is only 3 words, yet those 3 words may carry the most important instruction: calm down. Lipton was convinced enough to patent the tiny peptide as an anti-inflammatory back in the early 1990s. Here's the important part: KPV doesn't appear to shut the immune system down. Researchers believe it lowers the production of inflammatory signaling molecules. It turns the volume down. It doesn't cut the power. That distinction matters. Your immune system still needs to fight infection. The goal was never silence. The goal is balance. Then the story moved to the gut. In 2008, a team led by Didier Merlin published a study in the journal Gastrointestinology. They discovered that the gut has a tiny doorway, a transporter called peptide, and it pulls KPV directly into the cells lining your intestine. So they fed KPV to mice with colitis, a painful, inflammatory bowel condition. The inflammation went down, the tissue damage eased, and it worked at astonishingly small doses. Years later, the same line of research showed KPV could even reduce inflammation-driven tumors in the colon. And when they removed that peptide doorway, the effect vanished. Proof the doorway was real. Across laboratories, KPV has been investigated for inflammatory bowel disease, skin inflammation, wound healing, and several autoimmune conditions. In animal models, inflammation often drops. Tissue damage sometimes improves, which brings us to the familiar pattern. Almost all of that evidence comes from laboratories and animals. Large human trials, still missing. That's why KPV remains a research peptide, not an approved medicine. Online, you'll find it sold as a cure for nearly every inflammatory condition imaginable. That's not what the science says. The research is genuinely promising, but promising isn't proven. Inflammation is fantastically complicated. Different diseases run on different pathways. One tiny peptide is unlikely to solve all of them. Still, researchers keep returning to it because KPV seems to reduce inflammation without broadly suppressing the immune system. If future studies confirm that, it could be a genuinely different way to treat inflammatory disease. But that's still a scientific question, not a medical conclusion. The questions that remain are the big ones. Does it? Does it consistently work in people? Who benefits? What's the safe dose? How should it be delivered? And what happens after long-term use? Right now, those answers are unknown. Maybe the most remarkable part of this story is its simplicity. 3 amino acids. That's all. Thousands of proteins in your body run hundreds, even thousands of amino acids long. KPV has 3, and biology keeps reminding us, small doesn't mean unimportant. So the next time someone tells you inflammation is the enemy, remember the fire department. Inflammation isn't the problem. Uncontrolled inflammation is. And KPV may be one of the smallest biological messages ever found, asking your immune system to do what it should have done all along. Finish the job, then quietly stand down. But here's the part that should keep you up tonight. That same fire that never quite goes out. The low background inflammation that smolders for years. It may be one of the hidden engines of aging itself. Scientists even have a name for it. And that is a much bigger story. One will open up next. Thanks for watching Brainstorm Bob. If this made you think, hit subscribe for more. Curiosity, ideas, and real answers. See you in the next one.